I'd like to ask Mr. Rankin if he would say pledge of allegiance, and I'll ask our chief to say a prayer for us.
I pledge allegiance to
Why don't I go?
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to meet here tonight to serve you and to serve this community. We ask that you would grant us wisdom, help us to make the best decisions for this community. We ask that you would just be with everyone here and that everyone would be heard and that everything would glorify you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I now call this meeting of the St. Louis City Commission in order. For everyone's knowledge, Commissioner Zed will not be here tonight. First thing we have is the consent agenda. Approving the minutes from our regular commission meeting on 11/15.
Motion approved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Ashbrook, a second from Commissioner Lowry. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Kennedy here.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Murphy is not here tonight, and this is the only recording we have. Would each of you please be sure your mics are on and speak into them? Thank you.
He did the mic.
Okay, we're good.
Thank you.
All right. Bill's not here. Nothing to report of that then. All right. Mr. City Attorney.
First thing is on page 6. Dusty May has started a discussion about how to use boat ramp fees and how to raise some more revenue from that facility, and so we just did a draft of an ordinance which basically requires that in order for you to spend boat ramp money outside the boat ramp area, that you gotta have a 4-to-1 or a 5-0 boat on it. My personal feeling is that you ought to do a little bit more comprehensive ordinance. You know, Dusty has said he's got other ideas for increasing revenue. I'd be tempted to do an ordinance that outlines that provides those kind of rules and covers your spending. But whatever y'all want to do on this, we'll try to make it happen.
I'd like to speak to this for just a moment, if I could, Mr.
Sure.
Mayor. I've given this a lot of thought over the last 2-3 weeks. When boat ramp fee money was, I championed boat ramp fee. And I said then that only city and county people would be exempt from that. I was the one at that time that said I did not want this money spent anywhere other than on boat ramp fees. I did not want it put into the general fund because I felt like that the taxpayers, the community of Fort St. Joe as a whole, were having to eat the brunt of the repair that happened at the boat ramp, when many of them don't even own a boat. And even the ones that do, they're is outweighed by the people from out of town, and from other counties and cities throughout. And I guess this week I got thinking about, I'm all for putting every bit of the money, if anybody was gonna have a problem with it, back into there, but I'm also not really willing to tie our hands and say that, okay, our police department needs new radios, we don't have the money in the budget to spend it, and we need to spend $8,000 to help them get new radios, that we can't do that. I realize that I may not always be here, and I can give the people my word that 100% of the time I'm gonna do everything I can to keep from spending this money out of the boat ramp fees, because that was my idea, not to put it in the general fund. Let's start a fund within itself. But is it really fair to all of the people in the community that don't even own a boat, that never used that boat ramp, but for the last 50 years until we came up with this boat ramp fees, that their taxpayer money also went toward repairing that boat ramp? But I didn't hear them up here hollering. And since this issue's been brought up, I have not heard from more than 2 people that were dissatisfied with the 15% of the money out of all the boat ramp money that's been collected. And I say 15%, somewhere around that. All the money that's been collected, every bit of it's been put back into that boat ramp. On 2 occasions, maybe 3 occasions, we went outside the box. One of them was public safety, and one of them was in 300 feet of the boat ramp, which even if we drafted this policy, it would still be covered underneath that ordinance. I'd like to take a longer look at this, and everybody kind of think about what I said tonight, and let me regroup on this. Mr. Attorney, I appreciate you doing this, because that's what you were asked to do, and you did a good job doing it. I just like to see the full scope of this before we pull the trigger on anything.
I know that I wasn't at the workshop, I was out of town. I mean, this does tie our hands a little bit, but not to the fullest extent. It's kind of a give and take, I think. If it's such as radios for the fire departments, police department, things like that, it don't tie our hands to something like that. I mean, those are life safety type issues that we might have to fund in the future. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to what's written, but if there's additional verbiage, I guess, that was discussed at the workshop, I'm fine with waiting and hearing what else the other commissioners want to add.
Well, and I'll stick to what I said at that workshop, and that is, I think that we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. Let's see what this work is gonna be looking like when we're done with the improvements on the boat ramp. Let's come up with some projects that we can earmark money for. It's a lot harder to spend it if we're saving for a project. The reason it's easier to spend these funds is they're there, they're not for anything. Right? It's for what we might need them for in the future. Let's see what we get with this boat ramp, and decide what direction we want to go. I mean, I think we all have some opinions on how to move forward with that money. I think it should stay in that area. And I don't want to limit it by an area. I mean, Appendix A here shows this little tiny spot that the money can be spent. What about services? What about what about a rescue team if we ever need one, that's going to save these boaters, you know? What about a boat that we might need to have a police officer when the port comes? I mean, what about all these things? I don't want to tie our hands. This boat ramp revenue could get larger and larger and larger as the city grows. And I don't want to tie our hands to a geographical area. I think services should be included on that. But ultimately, I think we're just moving too fast. I think we need to wait and see what these improvements bring. Figure out what it costs to maintain it. We'll put that money back every year for maintenance. And then let's pick projects. Let's work on projects. Let's talk to Dr. May, and find out what his ideas are. And maybe we earmark money for those projects. But going forward, I think that we just need to slow down at this point and see what we're going to wind up with when this grant money is finished being spent. And that's all that I have.
And I agree with what Commissioner Ashbrook said. We don't know what may be done that we need to add to it. We don't know what's going to be done. And nobody has ever said, I don't want to spend that money outside of that boat ramp area. Ever. I said that when I made the motion tonight to pass it, and we drafted it up. But in the case of an emergency, I'd rather do that than have to go up on ad valorem taxes to fund something. And we've been at a steady ad valorem tax for how many years, Mr. Jim?
Long time, over 10 years.
I'd rather stay there, and in case of an emergency, and I do not think in any way that this board has been careless in their spending of that money. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I'll weigh in a little bit, and, I think we need to slow down too and see what exactly Dr. May has to offer, and, then come back to this thing, and I'm all for spending money down there where we collect the money from, but I'm like everybody else, if we have a safety issue or some help our citizens any kind of way that we must spend that money, then I think we should maybe be able to. But in the long run, I think most of the money should be spent right there, and that's why I think we ought to back up, look a little bit, just some more ideas before we actually do this. We need a motion and
Done.
anything? Okay, that's what we're in, I guess.
Page 9 of your agenda is the order to show cause that Judge Fisher signed in Chad and Lacey Mack versus City of Port St. Joe and Watley Funeral Services. requires us to respond within 60 days of December 1st. And tell the judge why he should not grant the relief that they've asked for, which basically is setting aside the action of the city commission approving the funeral home.
Now, I'll just weigh in on that right away. And, you know, we've been told about the loss of property value. But I didn't have anybody bring me a sale of a home that sold anywhere near a funeral home that says they lost money because they bought me a funeral home. Now, I don't know how many I got here. I got probably 9 or 10 sales, actual sales, right here in Port St. Joe. I can guarantee you these people will tell you they ain't getting no discount. So, I mean, I don't know where we're coming from. I mean, we got something on the internet, and we got something right here in black and white. And I've talked to some of these people that bought these homes. They didn't say no. They said H no, they didn't get no discount.
Well, I mean,
And that's to me is better proof than anything in the world. You got sales right here in this town. I can show you 3 homes that was bought within a rock's throw of Country Funeral Home. They said they didn't get no discount for buying that property because it was near funeral. Matter of fact, they paid out the Indian.
Tom, what's your, do you need some direction?
well, Friday, you're gonna open bids on, the new city attorney. My advice would be to, and I assume that either you'll have a special meeting before the end of the year, or maybe at the second, meeting, you'll enter into an agreement with somebody. And so my suggestion is that, that person and I get together immediately after y'all strike a deal and talk about, how to respond to this.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Any action need to be taken, Tom?
Not tonight.
Yes, sir. The first item we have is in reference to RFP 2016-10, which Mr. Gibson just referred to, the legal services ad. The ad does close this Friday at 1 o'clock. We had talked about having a meeting next week, a special meeting, and canceling our regular meeting for the 20th. So we need to decide, is that going to be enough time for you to look at the proposals that come in on Friday, or do you want to still have that meeting on next Tuesday?
Jim, how quick can you get copies to us?
I believe the proposal requires 7 copies, so as soon as we get them opened up, our plan is to get them out to each of
So
you.
if we swing by Friday afternoon, we can pick up the
Yes,
copies.
sir. We'll have them shortly after 1
Friday
o'clock.
afternoon's date is the 16th.
Nine.
Ninth,
Nine.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah, how are you gonna, are y'all gonna score them?
We have not been given any direction at this point.
We probably need to give staff some direction on that, how everybody wants to handle that.
Is there any preference there for local score, or the local person score higher?
We haven't given them any direction.
I mean, since we talked about it, I'd like just to weigh in on this a little bit tonight. And, you know, I like local stuff. I like to buy local. I don't go out of town to Sears to buy my appliances. I buy them right there at Ace Hardware. They cost me $2 or $3 more but they're local. And they're right there. I don't have to go nowhere. I feel the same way about an attorney. We're gonna hire somebody, you know, we need to hire somebody local, in my opinion. And I'll give you some instances. I can point at 3 or 4 people right here in this room that, when it's time to apply for your job, you were local, and you got hired. Yeah, you were local and you got hired. I don't see why anything else would be any different. If you got somebody locally that's qualified to do the job, I myself am going to get that guy a job. And that's all I gotta say on it tonight.
Being that you brought that up, I just want to say I want to reiterate that same thing. Back many years ago, when we were looking for somebody for the wastewater treatment plant, Mr. Larry Clymer, the water plant, excuse me, Mr. Larry Clymer, My dad coached Little League Baseball, he's been here his whole life. John, been living in the community for a long time. He got an opportunity. Charlotte Pierce. Matt, Jim Anderson. Glad we gave Mr. Billy Joe a chance back 50 years ago. We have people in this community that can do the work. I heard all the screaming and fussing from people from the county, from the city, from all over, and the Patience Foundation was gonna break ground. Oh, we better keep it local, we better keep it local, we better keep it local. And now I'm hearing stories that we're looking outside the city of Fort St. Joe for an attorney. And I don't mind telling anybody in this room tonight, I got a major problem with that. People that spend their money in our community, pay tax dollars in our community, they should be given a bigger shot at it. And that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
The only issue I have with possibly a local attorney, I believe it's the same issues. I'm all about local as well. But we've got attorneys that are in our community also that are suing us right now that I wouldn't want to hire. So, I mean, that's something I think about as well.
It comes down to qualifications. I mean, honestly, to me, yes, I will hire local. If we've got two equal candidates, I want to hire local every time. It comes down to a resume. And I think, I would rather have, no offense to anyone that's in the room, but I would rather have someone from outside of town that is much more qualified for the same amount of money than someone in town that is not. So I feel like, a bad attorney can cost the city a whole lot more money than what the face value is that they're charging. I personally am going to be looking more at qualifications, and I hope it's a local. I really do. But I'm not gonna look past service, just to hire a local. And that's all I got.
I guess we just need to give them some direction that we want them to score the.
I think personally, by putting staff in position to do a scoring, unless we can draw up what we want for scoring and get back with them on that, they gotta have a direction of what we want to be scored
I
on.
mean, it should be scored on the RFP, whatever things are said that are required in there.
Well, and that may be true, but I would also, before I would put that vote, would have to put in local preference.
Well, why don't we all just look at it on Tuesday? I mean, I don't want to have 10 or 15 to look at, because I know.
I don't think so either, so that's what I'm heard about, no more than 5.
I think that's exactly, I think the first thing you want to do is open up and see what you got. We don't know what we have until Friday afternoon. I think we get these out to you, let's meet on Friday, whatever's convenient for you, and let's go from there. We may only have a few, we may have a bunch, we may have to meet several times, but I think that's a good start, would be my suggestion. Let's meet on Tuesday and see what we got.
What if we meet Tuesday, and if there's a whole bunch and we need to look through, maybe we meet again on Friday for an hour and make our decision then.
Okay. When's a good time for you to meet?
Tuesday, what time, afternoon?
I like noon. Want to do a noon?
No, I like afternoons better myself, because I have to work, I don't really get lunch break, but whatever works best for the majority of the board is what I want to do.
I'm flexible.
Well, if we don't do it at 12, we'll have to be about 5:30.
Whatever's convenient.
Special meeting.
They'll get me on the time, so we can move his meeting.
And that was one thing was he was talking about too. He said that, if you wanted to, we could hold his. He said his would take about 30 minutes, depending on what time you meet for this meeting, that, he would be fine with meeting 30 minutes before you meet on the attorney. If you want to.
4:30, that would work for me, but if it doesn't work for anybody else, that's fine, y'all, I'm okay with doing it at noon, I'll figure out something else on there.
Can we do our full finger development meeting at 4:30 and plan to have our meeting at 5?
That's fair.
Okay, Tuesday at 5.
All right, we'll get everything out to you on Friday afternoon as soon as we get them opened up. Okay. The next item we have is in reference to Christmas on the Coast. I'll turn it over to Ms. Charlotte. She's had, a lot of interest in it this year. Give us an update, Ms. Sherman.
As recently as 5 minutes to 5 today, we still had people calling wanting to be in the parade. I would say that we're above 65 actual entries at this point, and they're growing daily. I know each of you committed to have a vehicle and be in a particular section of the parade. I'm still counting on you, but things seem to be moving well. It is this Saturday, line up at 5, judging starts at 5:15, and the parade will move out at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Next item we have is a reference to the golf cart crossing. I have spoken with, FDOT. They have changed the intervals at the light at First Street. So as soon as we get the signs in, all we have to do is give them a call, tell them we have them up and ready, and they told us they would give us the green light to open up the crossing.
Who's printing the sign?
Ramsey. As soon as they come in, we'll be ready.
Call them tomorrow morning.
You know, and again, I really want us to have a workshop on that golf cart stuff. Because, people that have golf carts need to realize the rules, and they have to follow. I told somebody yesterday, I was coming up, Long Avenue, and right about the exit, this lady made a U-turn in the road with a child standing up beside her. I said, I wonder how long she's gonna stay on Long. She went all the way down to the high school before she got off Long Avenue. Not supposed to do it.
No, we don't want a couple of people ruining it for everybody.
And it is a privilege. It's a privilege.
I don't know that maybe we shouldn't, try to figure out some way to maybe have a safety. We get the chief involved in, golf carts and see, I don't know, maybe, Matt, you could maybe find us some handouts or something, I don't know. Is there-
We have handouts. In fact, we constantly, when we stop somebody that's not obeying the ordinance, we give them one and educate them, but it's a rampant problem.
Did you correct them?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know once we go across 98, it's going to increase.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to be a lot more. So we need to make sure everybody's on the same page. Will it cross 77 at? Because I've seen them cross several different places.
Can we get some slides on the local channel? Where they used to play the city meetings? A couple of PowerPoint slides that just talk about the highlights of the rules, especially along the Garrison, not being able to travel long distances. I think that would help.
I think that's a good idea.
And I think once we get rolling with this thing, we have them pay a one-time fee to register. But I think we'd have to come up with some kind of every 2 year have an inspection and charge for it. Now, I don't know how we would do it. I know it's in early stages, but it's gotta be done. You can't let golf carts just run for 5 years. I mean, you're not gonna have a blinker light. I mean, you're not gonna have a brake light working. So you gotta have something in place. And as I say, have a nominal fee that they have to pay every 2 years to get the golf cart done.
Yeah, I think it's a workshop deal.
So we'll have to work one out. That'll be first of the year. Lot of things going on. All right, then,
The next item is the CDBG grant application. We did get some good news. We are getting the $650,000 from DEO, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I want to tell, staff, commissioners, everybody that called, us, prayed about it, whatever we had to do. That would have been a huge loss for us if we'd have lost that money. $650,000 grant, but it did not look like we were gonna get it. It was grim for a while. So I want to thank you guys for everything y'all did to get this thing going back in the right direction, and good Lord blessed us with $650,000 to finish it up. I believe we get close anyway.
We got $650,000 from CDBG. We got $80,000 from the Water Management District, and we've had a $25,000 city match. So this is pretty much finish up the residential areas. We still have the commercial areas we got to work on in our main trunk line, but this will just about wrap up our residential areas.
Good deal.
All right.
The last time we have in our old business employee appreciation dinner, Commissioner Thursday's gonna give us an update tonight.
Yeah, guys, I just, want to give you an update on the, appreciation dinner for the employees on the 16th. Everything's going good. We've gotten the price for all the food, drinks, everything's laid out. I believe a consensus was taken, everybody was on board, but I'd like to go ahead and move forward with the money left over from what we spend on groceries and what we need to give John Grantman the okay, and maybe give me my motion, give me the okay, or Jim, whoever, take the leftover funds and maybe work with Mike McClure on getting with the bank and doing some gift cards for us, for the money we have left over, just as a little, it won't be much, but just something, you know, to give to the employees as a door prize type situation. And that's my motion.
Out of what pot?
What we did was, Commissioner Ashbrook and, what happened?
All out
Oh, scrap metal. We took and, because all the guys that work in the city had collected up scrap metal from time to time, instead of spending money right out of the taxpayers and the general fund and things being tight, we didn't want to do that. We hadn't had a meeting and, appreciation dinner in several years. We took that scrap money and, took it over and scrapped it and came up with enough money to have a nice little get-together for Christmas and also buy some door prizes. And, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with that, and part of that motion was to maybe work with John, Jim, whoever I need to, maybe might look forward to let's take the rest of that money and spend on gift card for the employees, obviously for, door
What
prizes.
money we talking about?
We don't know exactly what it is, but it should be around $1,800 to $2,000.
Like, what, drawings or something?
Yeah, drawings or either maybe putting, we don't know yet how we're gonna do that, I don't wanna tell you that for sure, but trying to make it where everybody gets a little something, you know?
I'm fine with that, I'll say.
All right, motion by Commissioner Thursby, and a second by Commissioner Lowry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, guys.
On the new business, Mayor, the next item is residential speed limits. Commissioner Thursby wanted to talk to you tonight about it.
Yeah, over the past several years, I've had a lot of complaints, and I know that several other commissioners have too at times. I've heard it brought up. I don't have an answer to this fix, but I was hoping tonight, and this is only a discussion, I'm not trying to change the speed limit in St. Joe. But Matt, if maybe you could help us in the residential neighborhoods. I'm not talking about changing the speed limit on Long Avenue, Garrison Avenue, any of, you know, the major roads. That's not what I'm doing. But it was brought to my attention several weeks ago, some of these circles that we have here in town, the speed limit is 20 miles an hour, and that's true. So the other night, I got in my car and I drove 20 miles an hour around one of those things. I don't know, but to me, that seems awfully fast. You're coming around the corner, you basically, because it is a circle, you can't see directly in front of you. If a child, a golf cart, we're going to a golf cart community, were to pull out in front of you, you don't have brake time to stop. You're gonna hit somebody. I just would like to see if maybe y'all can check that out. If there's somewhere you can find out, okay, what's the ordinary situation on these tight roads in residential? 20 miles an hour means too fast. If you're going down, another thing is between Long Avenue and Highway 98 right there on 7th Street. People fly down that road because they can't wait to get to the express lane to go to the drain. I'd hate to live on that road because my road's bad enough where I live. So I don't have the answers, but I need some help on let's look at this because the last thing I want to see is a child get run over in our community, or somebody on a golf cart get run over, or a bicyclist. I mean, our community's kind of changed in the last several years. You know, we have more people out walking, more people out bicycling, we have more people on golf carts than ever. And, I mean, the bottom line is all that, but the children is my main concern. And I just need some of your help, and I just need y'all's support as a board to support Matt and looking into that. And let's see what we can come up with and maybe bring something back to us after the first year.
Commissioner Thursby, I mean, I definitely support the idea. I was on Bellamy a couple of months ago, and I almost got ran into someone's yard. Because they were flying around those corners that you can't see. You really don't. There's no time to react. Totally support seeing what we could possibly do on those, on cul-de-sacs or little communities. I know the little subdivisions all have their own 15-mile-an-hour speed limits, but I would not support long stretches of road being out at 15 miles an hour.
And I agree with that, I don't think that's what we're looking for, I'm just meaning the residential neighborhoods, you know, now we have them outdoor, everybody that don't know that, and you saying it was killing, you know, then we'd have to take a look at that, but right now, what I'm hearing is the people in the smaller residential neighborhoods that we're talking about.
Yeah, I've got some complaints on 20th Street, that long stretch of 20th Street.
Yeah, and I know,
Dirt bikes and,
It's not that.
the mayor's had several complaints on that same road, I know in the past. We just need to take a long look at it, because it's kind of a laid-back community, we need to also drive a little bit laid-back. And like I said, I'm not looking for anything tonight to say that we need to vote on this one way or another, I just need some help on it, and let's try to take a deep breath, maybe Matt look at it for us.
In addition, you know, I don't know that just changing the speed is gonna make a big difference, letting people know. I'll tell you, since the reflectors went up on the 20th Street stop sign, I have not passed my house one time.
Yeah.
Since those have gone up. Used to be, I'd be on the phone, and there we go, all the way at the mainstay already, I missed my house. I appreciate those reflectors, just remind you, hey, there you go.
Anybody wanna know how those reflectors came about, they can ask Mr. Brown.
All right. I just, I hope you get a little better response than I got when I brought this up.
And I remember
Very-
Speed bumps, Mayor.
I would
I
be
think I
forced,
was getting on long and Gary said 16 to 20.
and you know, I do
Well,
think
hey,
that's,
John, y'all rode around.
yeah, we
Do
do
it
actually.
somebody, you know.
Started
Hopefully we'll get going this time.
We just need to look at it and see, I know we've had, and to be honest with you, if I thought I could get 3 votes, I'd say every residential neighborhood needs a speed bump. But, I don't think I get the support, so,
That's a big problem.
we need to at least look at the speed limit signs.
I'm good.
The next item is reference to the 2017 legislative session budget request. We're starting to get these in from our legislators. Be thinking about it. The last couple of years we put in for sewer. Also, I'll give a call to Don Butler to see what, you know, kind of ideas are coming up with the county, because we've kind of worked together the last couple of years. But that time is coming up by the end of January, so get your thoughts
I
together.
seen that on the agenda, guys, and the first thing that comes to my head is finishing out Long Avenue. I mean, we've got a good portion of the money there, but that's a thought.
And I had thought that same way, Commissioner Lowry, is we have asked for sewer money every year, and we still wanna stay on that, but right now, and I don't know if that would fall underneath these needs, but any road money we could get, we could definitely use right now, so y'all think about it, but I'm all on board on us taking some of this money, I mean, I think we can ask for a couple of things, can't we?
Sure.
So maybe we can ask for some sewer and some road money, and put some road money in this year also.
I think the main thing with this is you need to be prepared, you know, a shovel-ready project, so keep that in mind. I think if we've got leverage money, that helps, we can show that, so that's the reason why I thought about it.
It may be a good idea, because you already have some road bond money set to the side. We've tried to working in our budget the past year to come up with any money we could for water and sewer rehab on Long Avenue, so that may be a good idea.
I think so,
All right. The next item is a fee waiver request that we have from the Wounded Warrior event.
Where's this at?
Centennial, and I'll go ahead and get started, I'm always the bad guy here, but, I'm gonna continue to be. That building costs taxpayers dollars every time we turn on the lights, turn on the air conditioner, turn on the heaters. We have drastically lowered the price for nonprofits, and I'm honestly getting sick of seeing it brought in front of this board. We have the rules, those are the rules, and I would love for us all to agree here today that if it's a nonprofit, it's only $100. I mean, why don't we just direct staff to not bring these to us, and then they can say to the public that needs it, that is bare bones bottom. We're probably still losing money at $100. I mean, if they have an event, they're gonna set up the day before, they're gonna tear down the day after, that's 3 days of running that electrical system in that building. I promise you $100 is not enough to cover it. So, I'm just gonna, well, do we need a motion? I would like to direct staff to not bring these to us anymore.
Your resolution outlines the fees on there for a not-for-profit, it is $100, so unless y'all wanna change it, or,
I mean, we're averaging one a meeting.
well,
It's getting ridiculous.
I guess let's go back to what we talked about Washington.
The cleaning up and that type of stuff, you know.
It's there, I mean, it's in our policies, we have it all spelled out, we changed the policy to just make it to where some people, you know, it's only $100 deposit. So we have the system in place. You know, this particular event, I love it, I support it, I go to it, but I have to pay to go to it. You know, it's not something that is available to every person in this community for free. And I think that if it were, maybe that's a different story. But right now, this is an event that does make money, it is for a charity, but not everyone in this community supports that charity. I promise you, there's some person in Port St. Joe that does not want their tax dollars to pay for someone else to turn that air conditioner on.
Tell me what the fee is and what the deposit is.
for a non-for-profit, it's $100, there is a $200 deposit. If it's a non-for-profit, let's say a birthday party or a wedding, it's $400 in off-season, $450 in season, with a $200 deposit. If it's a for-profit, let's say XYZ Corporation, it'd be $700. That's the.
And I feel like Mr. Ashby would say, this is a great organization, but still, you know, it costs taxpayers money. It's not, we're not doing taxpayers justice if we say, well, we're not gonna charge you this money. I feel like it doesn't matter what it is, it should get straight. Whatever fees are, that's what they are.
Being this $100, guys, I'm not gonna go as far as saying I don't want it brought to the commission. But if they're not willing to pay the $100, and then they want it brought to the commission and bring it to us, but $100 is pretty cheap, so I'm good with the $100 on it.
Look, I would rather they personally come to me and ask me for $100 than ask the commission to pay for it. I mean, that's.
And if you're okay with that, I will start directing that.
All I'm
No,
saying is
I
if it's that
understand.
popular of an event, there are people in this community that will put up $100.
And I don't think it's an issue, I really don't. Not $100.
So, do we need a motion on that or just follow policy?
Direct us just to follow our policy, we'll follow it.
Mr. Mayor, if you drag them, please follow the policy.
Please follow our policy.
Thanks.
All right, Nick.
The last item I have, Mayor, is a reference to staff training. During our budget cycle, we put some money in the budget for training for elected officials and for staff. I went ahead and printed out the ones that they indicated for 2017, so start taking a look at those, which ones we want to go to. We have money in the budget, though.
I personally think all of us commissioners and the mayor need to go. It's a wonderful thing. You meet a lot of people that's got a lot of good ideas. It might give you some helpful hints on things you're gonna do in your time here. And I think it's money well spent. So I look forward to going.
I did too, Mr. Mayor, and, we had actually put money away for, our city manager this year, our clerk this year, and I even went as far as telling, Jim this week, if y'all feel the same as I do about it, any of our department heads, if there's something that can help them in their job, I'm not all about going and us eating dinner and sitting and wasting taxpayers' money, but if it's something that could benefit our community by them going to, I'd like to see us, say, okay, you know, this within reason, y'all need to be going.
Yeah, I'd say if their staff can justify it,
We need to do
in their
that, don't
department, I'm all for it, I can tell you that.
Jim, isn't there some training on their Munis billing system that you've talked about in the past?
There is. The thing with Munis is it's a national company, so a lot of times the training is not even in the state of Florida, it's in Arizona or Texas the last couple of years. So yes, I will print that out for
Do
you
you
because
feel that that's a necessary thing for our staff to have training on?
from time to time, yes, and we have 2 new ladies that are in the utility billing, so yes, it is. It is very helpful. As a matter of fact, we're doing an update in the next couple of weeks on there, so
How expensive is that? I've
it's a
heard
little
pretty
more.
pricey.
It is. Munis is a little more because most of the time you got to travel out of the state, so you're going to have to fly. So that's for most of them. But I'll check on it and see where it's at this year.
maybe get some hard numbers on that so we can look at that, but I really think we need to send them, I think they charge too much on them bills, maybe we can.
That's all I had.
That's all you got?
Yes, sir.
All right, public works.
No, sir.
questions for me?
Questions?
Thanks,
Just a couple of kudos, thank you for a couple of things you helped me out with, and some citizens requesting things, and of course, like always, John, when I asked him to do it, he pretty much jumped right on it, so John, thank you. All right, social support.
None for tonight, Mr. Mayor. Show me question.
We got filters?
Not yet. Maybe 3 to 4 months.
Are they in the mail yet?
Keep asking.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
We're out of spares, right?
Anything else for Larry? Wastewater.
Standard running conditions that we're up to, I'd like to check these. That's pretty much all I got.
How's that rain affect us last couple of days?
We got 1.24 inches. We lost right out an inch, but we probably got it back this afternoon.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Y'all have anything else?
Thank you.
All right, city engineer.
Yes, sir. Good, a couple of things. We had pre-con, the contractor, city staff, last week, and it sounds like we're gonna get started next week, so you'll, certainly see some traffic interruptions there next week while they're doing that, but they're gonna jump in and get on it, and plan to have all the pavement finished by Christmas, and then come back after the first of the year and put up the signs and any final sod and stuff like that, finish it out later, so. Next couple of weeks, should be pretty busy. And that's on Garrison, between the post office and 16th Street.
I guarantee you will hear during the holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Driveways and things like that.
So,
Clay, that's the only thing that I want, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Commissioner.
No, that's all, I'm just
but
telling everybody.
just, you know, I think you and I've talked about this before. The one thing I always get phone calls on is, let's just be sure that the part of the contract that says we will dress up people's yards as if they, you know, because I have seen it before where they just dump asphalt and maybe, you know, let's just try to stay on that. Be the bad guy if you have to.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. The 6th and 7th Street drainage, is still under review with the city, so I don't really have an update on that. The Frank Bay Park is under, FWC has all the information they've asked for, they've had the plans for about a month now, so I would hope we're doing that really soon. Got the solution to advertise that. The Long Avenue water, deal, that's kind of where all of our focus is now, we've knocked out a few of these other projects, is to get those plans finalized and working with Public Works to get those finalized. And then the Jones Homestead Sewer, there was something specific you need to talk about tonight.
We are trying to finalize a plan on this. We've got $250,000. We need to make a couple of decisions on there as to how we want to structure it on there. There's not enough money to make it turnkey for all the houses in Jones Homestead. We've thought about a couple of ideas on there about trying to get all your laterals in place, trying to possibly make it a first come, first serve on the grinder pumps, which are about $2,400. Get your thoughts together on that. We've got to make some decisions on how the mechanics of that are going to work, because there's not enough to make it turnkey, but we want to stretch the money as far as we can.
What do you think about laterals to, can you give some, I mean, specifics on roads?
So, I mean, one idea was, you've got sewer on a couple of roads out there already. One road in particular, a portion of it. And so, one thought is, do you just go down every road that there's houses on and put force mains? And you may not have customers yet, but one day you will. So is that the option you go with? Or do you kind of take public input and see where the group of people are, if there are that wants sewer service and run into those people?
You know, right away.
Yeah, and get customers right away that way. So that's kind of where we're at.
I definitely think that, guys, that's something that we might wanna, I don't know how much time we got, we might wanna workshop that, because, first thing I think is, hey, let's run laterals to all the houses, and then I listen to what you guys, I don't have the right answer there, and I don't know, I think we need to talk about that, maybe talk to some of our people out that way. Cause I don't know. What would be the
You can
best
just,
deal.
I mean,
We talk to John, maybe.
a little bit of history. I mean, in the past, the city has offered incentives for folks to sign up for these kind of deals, and that's what Mr. Anderson is referring to. You probably don't have the money, $250,000 to run lines everywhere and offer all 180 customers an incentive if there's 180 interested. But so that's kind of where we probably need some direction.
But you could possibly take that leftover money and
try it out and see what the reduced rate could be to hook up now. Otherwise, they gotta pay the full fee for waiting.
That's what I'm getting at.
One other thing, I would hate to lose the opportunity to be able to run laterals to all the roads, but if it's not gonna be worth it for a while, I mean,
I guess that's the unknown
So
too. Maybe we
I
just
guess,
need to
I guess
hold off.
workshop would probably.
The one thing we gotta do is they want us to come up with this plan on it, so that's, time is of the essence on the plan. Now, as far as actually doing the project, I believe we got 3 years, I think, to do the project, but they are pushing us to come up with a
How much
plan.
time do we have on the plan now?
They want us a plan pretty quick, so that's what we
And the
gotta
one thing
do.
to keep in mind too, as far as running the force mains on a lot of these short streets, and they're all fairly much short except one, you know, the cost will be minimal. For the material, and we've done that time for sure again, so, you know, it is a short, small cost.
Use up all the money? Would it use up all the
No,
money?
no, not at all, is what I'm
Okay.
trying to say,
Okay.
so, but.
So we'll have
either-
some left
either-
over.
Right, either way, as Clay pointed out earlier, it was in Jim, actually, there's not enough money to do the entire project, it was traditionally done that. And so we're gonna have to get pretty creative on how we do that. Do you wanna miss the opportunity to put force mains on every street? So at that point, you know, if someone builds a house or has a, you know, there's revenue there for the city.
John, where are you leaning? Where are you leaning?
Well, I mean, you know, Mr. Anderson and Clay and I, we've sat and talked.
And where y'all as a group leaning, which way, you don't know?
We're leaning on y'all for direction.
There's a politician in the
When do y'all want a decision?
We need to come up with something pretty quick on this, because
Jim, you keep saying that, you wanna trade tonight?
End of January tonight?
I tell you what, we've got a draft outline. Let me get that out to each of you tomorrow, and let's try to make a decision in a couple of
And
weeks.
be okay with maybe y'all, if you want to, let's give Jim a consensus or something.
That would be good to have, we need some help.
Yeah, and here's one thing I'm all throwing out there, just for you guys to think about too, is traditionally as we've done, you know, everything was turnkey. Whether it was a Mountain View, White City, or beaches, there's not a money for turnkey anything. So
Right.
if a discount or reduction could be offered on something, I think it's probably gonna be the equipment or perhaps the impact fees or something in that respect. But we don't want to get into the business like we did in the other areas of crushing the septic tank and electricians and all that stuff, so we still probably want to consider pushing that off to the homeowner.
I'd really like the idea of trying to run all the lines, the laterals, and then having some money left over to do something else, whether it's some rebate money or whatever. Are y'all fine with them looking at a plan like that?
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm leaning, that I didn't want to do something that they didn't want to do really, you know, if they researched and they were not have, but that's what I'm thinking, run the laterals. Money that's left over, then let's divide that money up, figure out what kind of savings we can give each customer, offer them a rebate or what you may want to call it. What do y'all think about that?
I think we physically have to spend that money there, right?
I think so. I
Well,
think,
rebate is.
So that's not gonna work, so we're gonna have to back up.
well, it's pretty close, because one of the things you're going to have is you're gonna have to have a grinder pump to make it functional on there. So that's how we were trying to figure out,
So
okay,
maybe just do that on the first come, first served. We may not be able to pay for it all, but give you
we can calculate based on $2,400, how much left over afterwards, how many grinder pumps out on the
Right.
point too.
that may be the way to
You
do
know,
it.
we don't really have any idea where interest rate is.
We don't.
When it's 2 or it's, 160, we have no idea.
There's houses going up.
There are.
Uh,
And if you have the force main in front, we're going to be required to tighten that.
That's right.
Clay, would you mind after next week getting out and walking all those houses and knocking door to door?
I'll get them up on Facebook.
Okay.
That's all I have for Mr. Mayor. That's all.
Okay, just, there's been some discussion about those deadlines for Scott grant for next year, and Jim, they contacted somebody and they told them, no.
Yeah, I don't think they send it out. It's usually December, January of every year, DOT will send an email out saying, hey, we're accepting applications. I haven't seen that email yet, so, but it should be.
Should be, and I think Jim's got a meeting, Mr. Mayor, or something next week that he may have a better idea after that meeting.
January the 10th. I talked to Dustin Castillos, who actually heads up that program with the SCOP that we're doing for Garrison Avenue. There's a meeting on the 10th of January at Chipley, which I signed up for the other day to go. And they said they should have a good idea of funding when it be available.
Clay, one more thing before we go, I would like to back up to the boat ramp.
Yes, sir.
I know that we've got everything in, and waiting on them. Is there any way possibly this week that you could maybe call them and see if we can get some kind of an idea? Because what we don't want is this thing to drag on so long that we're right in the middle of, and we're gonna be in the hot seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you know anybody's got any pull, maybe see if they can make a phone call and see how quick we can get that sign on phone.
Yes, sir.
You do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Code enforcement package in the bag. Taking everybody's still getting their reports from Richie. Other than that, police department. I don't have anything.
I will say this about the speed limit conversation. And Mayor, you and Mr. Brantley can correct me if I misremember, but we rode around, looked at a lot of streets, talked about dropping the speed limit 10 miles an hour in all, I think in all areas. And we got pushback because there were folks that didn't want the speed limit dropped on Monument, Long, Garrison. So I don't know. Maybe the answer is we can drop the speed limit in the neighborhoods, but not on those roads. To me, First Street and 20th Street are bad streets too. And I know we stop a lot of cars on First Street.
10th Street, you get it in towns.
Probably so. So I know John was working on a map of what, because it's so sporadic. It'll be one street's 10 miles an hour, one's 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, most of our streets we came across were 25 or 20.
And I think that's my thing, is there are just some neighborhoods, and I'm not pinpointing any of them, that 20 and 25 miles an hour is too fast. It really is. And I think the drawback was, from what, because I've been talking about this for a while, before I brought it to the board. People didn't want to have to really slow down on the major freeways, for lack of a better word.
I think and we all need to think about it, but I think if you drop it to 10 or 15 miles an hour in every street that's not one of those we named, we're doing it for the safety of our
We're doing it for the safety of our children,
our
and I
community,
really honestly.
and our elderly folks and lost people on golf carts. I mean, to me, I don't see where it's an issue.
I don't either, and I tell you something, the safety of our people in our community is an issue. I got an issue with not protecting the children and the elderly.
We just have the cost issue to overcome as far as.
Signs and stuff, and believe me,
There's other ways
on
to
that.
do that versus a little sign too, so there's a less expensive way.
And we may have to do it that way, John.
But that's the only true expense.
Anything else for the chief? Chief, I have one thing. Commissioner was there, couldn't be here tonight. So that's, yeah, say anything else. Thank you, sir.
I think somebody put something on your sign.
Thank you, chief.
Thank y'all.
All right. City clerk.
The only thing I have, the last several years, we've had an ad in the Star. Probably remember it, I don't know how well you can see it from over there, but all of us at the city of Port St. Joe wish you a very Merry Christmas. The only, information I need tonight, the cost of it is $281.25. It will be on the edge of the Star. It's 3 columns by 20 inches, and just need some direction if you want to put it in the Star again this year.
I think last year we did that, but in the years prior to that, we split it between the commissioners. And I think last year what we did is we just, the city as a whole paid for it, and we listed our names, everybody's names. It was, am I correct in that?
We bought the ad, but we didn't have names on it.
No, that's fine too. So I'll make a motion to move forward with the same way we did last year.
I'll say.
Motion by Commissioner Thursby, second by Commissioner Lyon. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I have.
So you have?
Yes, sir.
All right. Citizens be heard. We have anybody in the audience tonight that wishes to speak on anything? Nope. All right. Mr. Lyon, we'll start with you. You have anything tonight?
Same here, same here, boss, nothing.
I don't have anything tonight.
I'm not gonna let y'all do these. No, John, I just wanted to ask a question, because it's been asked of me that with this time of the year, with all the leaves blowing, people racking up leaves in the neighborhoods, and then they're having to sit on the side of the road for long as they want them to, but the next thing you know, they say they'll blow it off. So I told him, I said, you know, we only got one truck.
Right.
So I don't know how we could speed it up.
You know, there's no way to speed it up, it's quantity driven. You know, this time of year, we typically have a higher, you know, waste volume than we do other times of the year, just because it's cooler, people are getting out and just trimming things back, so.
And that's why I told this person, I said, you know, one way we can go buy another truck. You know, just for this on this time of year.
Put it in bags.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing, put it back instead of leaving it just in, and I'll suggest that to a couple people.
It won't blow away as easy anyway.
That's true.
And one other thing, I don't know if y'all are aware, but down at the, across the rap fields down there last week, Thursday and Friday maybe, they were loading up a bunch of these shell rock, on these, tug platforms and tug workers taking out. And I went down there and I talked to Mr. Jim Townsend, who was getting everything loaded up, and he also introduced me to Mr. Stephen Addington, who owns this rock quarry mine over on the other side of Kerrville. And he's got some big plans to ship a lot of that stuff out of our area down here. And the only problem is, only Corps of Engineers are supposed to keep that thing dug out to a depth of 12 feet, and it's only about 8 feet. So if there's anybody that can get on the phone, and I understand, Bradfield's is trying to get something going, but then again, I understand they gotta get a waiver of some kind, maybe, of Eastern Shipment before they go doing that dredging, especially that new dock there and all. To mess it up, you gotta have a waiver, something I was told, but things are happening around here, things are going, in discussion with some other people about bringing jobs here. Believe me, there's a lot going on that you may not know about, because a lot of times you can't say things too soon, and people are running things away, but I'm personally involved with a couple of people about bringing some great jobs to this town. And I'm working with them every chance I get. As soon as I get notice that I can release some information to you people, I'll be glad to. But things are happening. This town's gonna grow. It's gonna be profitable. Our economy's gonna get back where it needs to be. We just all need to be working towards one goal. And that's to make this the best place in the world to live, which I consider it already to be that. But let's make it a little better if we can. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, real quick, Jim, could you maybe, draft up a letter that we could all, possibly the mayor and maybe the commissioners could all sign to the Corps of Engineers? See if we could get some help on maybe getting that. I mean, people are spending their money and bringing jobs to our community.
Yeah, I
We
mean, they
need
were
the help of the Corps of
staying in
Engineers.
motels, buying food. I'm gonna say they're
And
buying
there
like
is-
5,000 gallons of gas. around here.
And I don't
So
think
spending money.
any of us would be against signing a letter for a little help, and maybe we wanna reach out to, Montford and Halsey Shears and see if we can maybe get them to draft a letter to help us out if we need to. But let's just look, do what we can do and maybe research what we might need to do. Go
I
ahead.
agree.
Oh, I'm done.
Motion to adjourn. All right, sir.
Second.
All right, we're gonna.
Comment, please?